Hello, everyone. Dr. Victoria Scarbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. I was looking at some charts, um, preparing for my class yesterday, and something caught my eye, and it's something that I want to share with you guys. And it's about the Capitol, the breaching of the Capitol, and the position of Mars in the breaching of that Capitol, and then the Mars return of that incident. So let me see if I can share some stuff with you and give you some perspective on why I feel this is important to look at. Okay, so the first thing I want to look at here is this here. This is the breaching of the Capitol, which occurred January 6, 2021, as we all know. Us astrologers out there do remember that that was the day that Mars was about to move into Taurus after a long retrograde period that Mars had had in Aries. Mars had a retrograde period in the sign of Aries. In the sign of Aries for the first time since 1988. So it had been quite a few years. So 30 odd years, right, since it had been. And so this retrograde period occurred at the end of 2020. And then as Mars was leaving the sign of Aries, we had the insurrection. So there was something, in my estimation, about the time that Mars was retrograde where this was fomenting. Things were coming together. Now, I don't know, as far as incidents are concerned, when we got the picture of Roger Stone with the Proud Boys and all that stuff. I'm not sure of the timing of that. It would be easy enough to research it. But I haven't really had time to research this. It was more of a sort of an intuition. Now, there's a couple of things about this Capitol breach chart that is very interesting. We have the South Node in Sagittarius, the North Node in Gemini. These are the positions of the Moon and the Sun and the nodes of the Moon and Uranus for Donald Trump. In fact, his Sun and his Uranus and his North Node sit right on the North Node of this chart. So this was definitely something that Donald Trump was telling us, right? Telling us, expressing to us through his persona. The Mars of the, actually, let me do this. Let me pull up Trump's chart. Hold on one second. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. What did I want to do? Okay. One moment. Okay, guys, I'm back. So this is Trump's chart. I've added a couple of asteroids. We have Juno here in a conjunction to Chiron. This is wounding. This is around, Chiron in Gemini, wounding in relationship with the planet of relationship. This is, there's a big core of his being because he doesn't know how to relate to another person, right? Chiron in Libra. Libra is relating to others. Here we have a wound. Maybe it's from this is a relationship energy. This is Juno. This could be his relationship to his mother, I guess. We have Jupiter here as well. So it just inflames. This is like a giant, like postulating sore in his chart. And the interesting thing about this is that in the Sibley chart, Saturn sits here, and Saturn is the planet of in the Sibley chart, Saturn is up there in Libra in the 10th house, indicating the house of the president and the leader. So in a way, his postulating the soar was expressed for the whole world to see, as it sort of lines up with that Saturn in the 10th house of the Sibley chart. That's one thing. Here we have, as I was speaking in the other chart, and we'll look at it now that we put the two charts together. Here's his sun at 22 of Gemini. We also have the North Node, and we have Uranus there. And here's the South Node and his moon. He was born on a lunar eclipse. It isn't quite there yet. It's approaching a total lunar eclipse here, but it's not quite there. And of course, we see many of the things that we know about him, about his chart. Here we have his Mars in the 12th house, difficulty discerning his motivations, perhaps. And, nothing is direct here. It's that whole, like, you know what I need you to do kind of thing without actually asking. This is the whole Don thing, right? Don Juan Diaco. Anyway, here we have Ceres. Ceres, in my explorations of Ceres, she always seems to sort of pop up where there's death of some sort, and I don't know if she's really connected to a death archetype, but I see her a lot. And I think death and the idea of, it's time, there's a reaping happening, right? There's a reaping. And so you reap what you've done or what you haven't done, right? And so we have his Ceres in Aquarius in the 6th house. This looks like COVID to me, and his inaction on COVID causing so much pain and death in the country. But let's go to the breach, because I think this is very interesting. So let me get there. And you'll see what I mean. This breach was an expression of him. So let's go to, okay, hold on a second. Go find him. I'm gonna put the cat, well, let's do this. Let's do this first. So this is the breach of the Capitol right here, and this is Donald Trump's chart. Here's the North Node of the breach of the Capitol, and there's Donald Trump's North Node. There's his sun, there's his Uranus. There's no doubt from this chart that the purpose of the breach was to have him be seen and heard here. We also have let's see, what do I want to say? Here's the Mars of the Capitol breach right here, and it is trine his Mars. We have the moon here with all his planets, all his issues with relationships and his wounds around relationships. Here on the moon, sort of taking out his frustration on the people, perhaps. Okay, so let me flip this, and we can see here that we have Mars up here in the 9th house. This is a house of beliefs. And it's trining his Mars. We can see that. We have the government here, perhaps Pallas Athena opposing his Pluto. This could have been resistance from the police, resistance from the government, resistance even from Mike Pence, perhaps, not to sort of go along with what he wanted. Okay, here we have Chiron sitting right on his Eris in Aries in that 8th house. This is rage, unfairness. You're unfair to me. You're unfair to me. Chiron comes around to heal the wound, or we can express from the wound, and we can see that there. And his Chiron in his chart, of course, is connected to relationships here. Illusion, delusion, and the like. Okay, so that's what I want to point out there. So let's take a look at the chart of the breach of the capital. I believe it's this one. Again, here we have the chart for the breach of the capital, just keeping in mind that we have Mars here in the 11th house. This could be attack on Congress. This could be an attack. And we see that Mars is just coming off a conjunction to Eris. Eris is revolution. Eris is anger. This Eris is actually trying his, the Mars Eris conjunction, and the midpoint of that is probably exactly trine Donald Trump's Mars. So we know that he was, if not the master, he put out what he wanted, and then he had all the people who helped him get there, I think, right? So we could call him the mastermind or the master intender, and had a way of directing people and making people do what he wanted them to do, probably through bullying or blackmail, I would guess. But this is for entertainment purposes only, and some just general astrological facts for you to come with. So let's talk about the Mars return. Everybody has Mars in their chart. Every event has a Mars somewhere. And a Mars return simply means when Mars moves, comes back to that position in the zodiac. Now, Mars has a 2-year cycle around the zodiac, so it generally takes about 2 years to go around before we see the next Mars return cycle. Because Mars Mars is about aggression and, you know, shooting and stabbing and smashing things and breaking through and all of that stuff. Especially in Aries, because it seems to me that many of the most virulent Trump supporters are men who are angry and don't feel they're being heard, and they want to fight everybody, right? So Mars becomes an important planet just in general for that energy. And of course, Chiron is in Aries now. And so Chiron, the wound in Aries, will be expressed through Mars, right? So in a martial ways very often. So I was noticing where Mars was. Now, I'm born on July 3rd, and I noticed that Mars was at the end of Aries, squaring my Saturn, which Pluto is sitting on, incidentally. That's not here nor there. That's here, actually, but none of your concern. Eesh, bibbles. But I noticed that I had this square between Saturn and Mars in my chart. And then I'm like, oh no. So I looked and I said, when's the Mars return for the breach of the Capitol, right? When is that coming back around? And what I found was that the Mars return for the Capitol breach is on July 4th. July 4th, with an Aries rising. There's Mars again, still close to Eris, right? Now Eris, when the Capitol was breached, was about 23. It takes a really long time. So this is happening over and over and over again, sort of with that Eris energy. It doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, there's going to be a Capitol breach or it's the same people, but it's that energy of aggressively sort of getting your point across, right? The fact that it's on the 4th of July has me a bit concerned. We also see that we have a water trine, and And we have, I believe, we have an Earth trine here, but it's just, it's not, it's with Pallas here. She's out of, she's not in Earth. I guess that's what I want to say. Yeah, she's not in Earth. This is, yeah, this is a little too wide for that. Maybe here, maybe Uranus and Pluto starting to get an orb. They're 10 degrees away now. There's going to be, this is going to happen in 2023, the trine of Pluto and Uranus. And that will allow a lot of very profound change very quickly. And so with that, now this is separate from what I'm saying here. With that, that means we have to focus our intention into what it is that we want to see created, because the energy is there for us to consciously co-create. I mean, we're going to co-create anyway, but you want to consciously co-create. You don't want to unconsciously, because if unconscious co-creation is listening to what they're saying and believing it, that that's going to be the reality, instead of investing in the world that you want to see. Now, I don't mean like pie in the sky unicorns flying, although some of us might like that, and I wouldn't mind a unicorn or two. But in a more general sense, more general sense, peace, happiness, enough to eat, peace, helping your neighbor, all that stuff, all that good stuff, all that good stuff. So this is important. Now, I don't believe, let me see, I think I have, I think I might actually have the return, the solar return for the United States. Let me see if I have that here. If I don't, I can pull it up. That would be at the end, I think. USA. USA, USA. Nope. All right. Okay, let me do this. Let me do the solar return for the US. All right. Let's find the US. All right, let's find the US. Oh. So this is the solar return for the United States of America. It has, it's occurring on July 5th, 4:24:29 a.m. in Washington, D.C. So it is actually on July 5th. That is the true solar return for the Sibley chart. There's a couple of things that stick out to me here. This chart is going to sort of indicate, in a way, the year ahead for the United States. The United States will be in a 17.8 vibration this year. It is still, at the time of this recording, in a 16.7 tower vibration. And we certainly have been feeling the shaking towers over the last couple of months, but especially yesterday at the right before the new moon in Cancer. Today, the day I'm doing this is the 29th. So the United States ascendant for the solar return is in Gemini. Gemini is duality. So we may find ourselves being split in a way, continue to be split. The ruler of the chart is Mercury, because it's a Gemini ascendant chart. and Mercury is in the first degree, 009 minutes of Cancer. This is an interesting degree. Back in 2020, we had a solar eclipse, I believe it was, new moon solar eclipse at on the solstice at 1 degree. At this degree, it was a 00, I think 21 degrees of Cancer. So it's connected to that time. Couple of people, important people that we see. Politicians have things at 1 degree of Cancer. I believe Elizabeth Warren may have her son there. We're close enough. And Adam Schiff, I believe, has his son there. He's a first day of Cancer person. Besides Cancer, we have at 009 or 1 degree, we have Mars in Taurus at 004 degrees. They are in a sextile to each other. It is a sextile of opening the lines of communication. And so there is a certain amount of having to open up. We also have Pallas Athena at the first degree of Gemini. And all of these sort of first degree energies speak to me. And they're like in a row, right? You got Mars, semi-square, semi-sextile. Okay, sorry. They're Mars semi-sextile, Pallas Athena semi-sextile, Mercury. This could bode for an opportunity for us to come together, talk about our needs, talk about what we need, talk about the actions we need to take, and how the government is going to get us there. So there is that energy. We do have a Neptune moon opposition in this chart that can confuse things. We also have Juno up there with Neptune. Discernment is going to be a big thing as to whether we have the ability to discern what we need to do. Will mostly, I think, depend on our willingness to look at the problems that we're having and really seek them out. We do have Saturn up there in the 9th house, which is the house of the Supreme Court. It's moving retrograde. So we may look and see about going back to something that has to do with the court, reviewing it, and seeing sort of if it passes muster, as it were. All right. So I think what I want to mention about all of this, and let me just get off the charts. I think we really need to be very, very aware of our intentions and very aware of it's like we're all laser beams and we have to focus so that what needs to get done can get done. And now that I feel now that the energy is shifting away from the darkness a bit, or there's an uncovering and the shifting away from the darkness perhaps means just more enlightenment, that we're being more and more enlightened in trusting what our instincts say. I think that July 4th is going to be a day where you have to be very aware of where you are, what you're doing, kind of who's around you. Just be aware, take care, fill yourself up with light. On the other side of July 4th, when we move into that 17.8 vibration when we move into the solar return for the US. And of course, the Simply chart is simply one chart. So it's not as cut and dry as it seems. There are other charts that people look at for the United States. So if you happen to be one of those people, you can look and see if there's any sort of connection to the charts that you use to these dates, right? Um, but I think we just have to be really aware of, and hopefully people are paying attention. But on the other side, with the Capitol breach Mars return on the 4th of July, we may have just enough information to have us start to move in a new direction instead of this crazy infighting or fighting the other or owning the libs or blaming everything on Tifa or actually maybe blaming everything on Trump when it or blaming everything on the Republicans when the Democrats refuse to wield the power that they have. So something we need to examine. So many things to examine, I think. But Mars and Taurus, I think there's going to be a lot of focus on financial situations in the upcoming year for the US, how to strengthen that. Yeah. Well, that's what I see. I thought I'd share. I hope this is helpful for you. If you, I don't know if you like it, if you don't like it, I felt the need to say it. So I will be putting out the Astrology and Kabbalah of July later today. Keep your eyes peeled for that. And I will see you again soon. Take care, everyone. Namaste. Love you.